Uh, Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. A lot is happening in Kenya that we need to sit down and discuss. It is now clear that there is a plan to impeach the deputy president, Bwana Rigiji. On Friday, Rigiji was at Citizen TV with Sam Gituku, and he highlighted they are not in terms with the boss. What is really happening? What is really happening in Kenya Kwanza government? So over the weekend, in fact on Saturday and Sunday, the Rigiji embarked on attacking his boss together with his allies, close allies. They were just attacking the president, saying the president is one-term president, all those things. You see, when things escalate that way, when things reaches that way, it means there is a lot that we don't understand. What actually is happening? We might know. We might think that we know. There might be more than what we know. So that is what we want to discuss today. What is really happening? Number one, you remember in 2000, before 2022 election, Rigiji came together with William Samoei Ruto, and they campaigned Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. He made Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, the former president, to be hated by his community. And the one man, Rigathi'S, was given that task. He said all manners of things. He campaigned to Uhuru Kenyatta. In fact, we can call that disrespect. He disrespected Uhuru Kenyatta. But what is not happening? The Rigiji has realized that probably he might have made a mistake. And one thing, after it was clear, as they purported to say, that the impeachment or the breakup between the president and his deputy was very clear, Rigiji found it good to ask for forgiveness from the former head of state, that is Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. But Uhuru has since not responded. I don't know why, but it's not easy. You all remember what actually happened, how Rigiji used to attack Uhuru Kenyatta, how Rigiji used to abuse the first family, then how Rigiji was used, and he has now realized that that guy, William Samoei Ruto, actually used what is happening, but that's not the case. But in this video, I want us to look into what might have happened that probably we are not aware, or what is happening between between Ruto and Rigathi. What do you think is happening? Number one, Rigiji was not the choice. It has been rumored. It is now very clear. A lot of those guys from the mountain, those politicians who were there, those MPs who were there during the selection of the best man to deputize or to go together with William Samoei Ruto, and it was said that Rigiji was not the choice, and actually the choice was Kindiki. What actually happened is that Rigiji had the money, had the money, and then the ability to attack Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, the former president. Rigiji had that ability, and it was concluded that Rigiji should be taken, even if it was not the choice of the majority of those who voted. And in fact, there was voting in Karen in the house on the residence of the former deputy president. William Samoei Ruto is now the president. And after the voting, it was very clear that Rigiji, there was no way that Rigiji was going to be the running mate to the President Ruto. But as fate has it, other factors were being taken into consideration. For example, Rigiji had that ability to tackle or to attack the way he was attacking the former president. It was very easier, and that is why he got that position. Now that they have taken the president, now that they are in office, Ruto has found that the guy is not good enough to be in that position, and the process of removing or of replacing him with somebody else, probably Kindiki, probably Mudavadi, probably even Nyoro, has kicked and has started. So probably that is one of the reasons Rigiji was not the choice, but they had no option. They wanted to win election. Now that they are in power, because now this guy hakuwa the choice, they have to get rid of him because they have now the instrument of power and they can do anything they want. They have now the system. They have all those instruments of power. So that is one reason, and probably that is the case. You see, there are those who believe that this is a game. A game is being played here. But remember, we used to think probably Uhuru, Ruto were playing. But it is, okay, I want to pose the question. Do you still hold the same thoughts that Uhuru Kenyatta and William Samoei Ruto were playing Kenyans? Do you think so? I don't think. It is now clear that if kwani wanacheza movie gani hii? It is now clear that Uhuru, there's something. There were a very strong fallout between Kenyatta and William Samoei Ruto. But I don't want to go into details about what happened between Kenyatta and Ruto. So, number two, I think Rigiji is not competent enough. There are some people, especially probably the president, who thinks that Rigiji is shaming the government, shaming them. That probably Rigiji is not the right person, is not the right man for that job. Rigiji is not competent enough. And they have just started. I don't know what you think about it, but I think it is also a possibility. But just think about this. Another possibility is there is a game which is being played. There is a game which they are just playing. These guys, you see, those games, they are politicians. They are just driving our attention from the real issues. What's the real issues? There was an issue about Gen Zs. There is an issue about the airport being sold to the Waindi Indian known as Adan. So these guys, I feel like they are just driving their attention of Kenyans who are now focused on the Adan deal. Najua mjanipata. I mean, these guys are playing a game. There's a game which is being played here. Now, what is the attention? What is the real issue? There is a real issue about the JKIA, the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, about the Adan deal. Now Wakenya wote wanafikiria hapo. Sasa wakileta, when they bring these shenanigans, these politics of betrayal, Wakenya wote watachukua attention from JKIA and the Adan deal, waileta kwa Rigiji na mbona anasalitiwa. And that is how they will forget. We will forget as Kenyans ati kuna airport somewhere na tunafikiria sasa about this betrayal politics na airport itakuwa kitambo. Tuende tena turudishe mawazo huko, airport itakuwa imeenda. So umeona. And the other real issues affecting Kenyans, you saw how Gen Zs were very agitated. You saw, for example, easy project, kuna watu wanaenda wanafichua mavitu huko. For example, easy project, for example, corruption. So the real issues affecting, they are just driving the attention from the real issues to non-issues actually, which is theatrics. So probably that is the reason. But what do you think? Why? Unajua hii ndoa yao kati ya Ruto na huyu jamaa Shawa inaweza kuwa ngumu kuelewa, because these are politicians. Sometimes they play games to us, sometimes we don't sometimes we fail to understand kama ni really hii kitu ni real ama ni fake. Sometimes unajua, to be politicians it is just a game. It is just a game. Those guys might be playing with our minds. Umeona kuna division ya Mount Kenya. There's Mount Kenya East na there's Mount Kenya West, comprising of Kikuyus. East comprising of the Meru, Tharaka and maybe Hempu. So those guys, you get it? So they started division at Mount Kenya East. Wameendorse the Kindiki, wameendorse Kindiki. Those guys watakuja pamoja na waweke kura zao kwa kikapu kimoja. So sometimes hii siasa tuliambiwa tusiweke kwa roho. So kama wewe ni Mkenya, tafadhali tufanye kile kinatufaa, tuweze kuchunguza serikali. Those guys probably might not actually mind us much. They are just minding about their mufuko and the power and what they are sharing. That is the positions and the power. Those are the only thing those guys are interested. Sometimes is this wote tunaplayiwa game na tuelewi ni game gani inachezwa, kwa sababu hawa wanasiasa si wote 90% ama tuseme tu 75% wanafikiria about their family, wanafikiria about power. Sasa hiyo yenye imebaki ndio sasa wanatufikiria, which is not a good thing. Wacha tufikirie mwanasiasa, let's think critically, let's have wisdom when the time of election comes. Tuamuke, tusichague mtu eti ni mtu wetu. Hapana, tuchague mtu kwa sababu atatufanyia one or two things, na kwa sababu tumemuona huyu anafaa kutuongoza na kila kitu itakuwa sawa. Otherwise, if we dwell much into this, tutajua hatujui. Kuna kitu maybe hatujui, and tutagundua ya kwamba ilikuwa game na uwezi jua. Hao ni wanasiasa and they have started and they have mastered, and now wanajua Wakenya venye wanafikiria. Watakuja wadanganya Wakenya and this and this and this ikwe venye wanataka. So I don't know what you think, but the is big than you think. Hata umeona ameanza kuattack directly Ruto, directly. Hata Ruto hakuattack Uhuru Kenyatta directly hivyo. So that is why nimekuambia inaweza kuwa ni game hapo tunachezwa na sisi hatuoni. But whether it's a game, whether it's real, whether those guys know why they are doing that, it is something that we are waiting to see how things are going to escalate. So thank you for just viewing this video about this moment. If you haven't subscribed, kindly consider subscribing, turn on the notification bell so that you are notified every time we post a new video. So subscribe hapo na thank you. Na unaweza fanya thumbs up, unaweza finya hapo ka like, na uweze kucomment what do you think. So thank you very much and have a good evening.